and she did so with a lot of passion.
Let's shift to the union case, because it is interesting. And Mr. Kersey, would you explain what happened here?
Well, this case is about whether or not government can force people who are not government employees to join and support a union. This was a major win for First Amendment rights, a loss for government employee unions. They have been collecting millions of dollars over the last decade in dues from people who are not government employees in Illinois and a dozen other states. The Supreme Court looked at this and came to the conclusion that it is contrary to the Constitution and has to be brought to an end.
Ms. Coberly, do you see this as a wide-ranging decision? Do you see this as affecting only a narrow slice of people?
Well, at the end of the day, it's a fairly narrow decision. It's really about whether certain kinds of employees, and these are home health employees in Illinois who are employed ostensibly by the patient they work for, whether those kinds of employees are public employees. And
but the funding, though, is public coming from the state, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
And under state law, there was a statute enacted that said that these people are public employees just for purposes of collective bargaining. And that was something that seemed to matter quite a bit to the court. At the end of the day, it really is a decision just about these kinds of employees. And the court was very careful to leave in place its precedent. It was interesting this morning that the Justice Alito, in discussing his opinion from the bench, focused at length on criticism of a previous decision called Abood, which extended certain kinds of union case law to public employees, and then didn't overrule it.
Was it unusual to have him speak these decisions from the bench?
No, it's tradition that every opinion is announced from the bench. Occasionally, you'll see a dissent read from the bench, as we did today as well, and that is customary. It's part of the performance of the court, really, because those statements don't have any independent legal value. But it's part of the theater of the day.
You know, Carol, I think I disagree with Linda in one sense. Both of these decisions that came down today had something in common, in addition to both being conservative outcomes written by Samuel Alito. And in my opinion, they were both broad decisions masquerading as narrow ones. In the union decision, Harris versus Quinn, Justice Alito says this decision today only applies to these peculiar kinds of employees who sort of serve two masters, both the patient and the state. But he never really explains why the next shoe to drop won't be fully fledged state employees. Same thing with the Hobby Lobby case. The court says this decision today doesn't apply to religiously motivated employers who want to deny coverage for immunizations or blood transfusions. But again, it never explains why. I think those are designed to reassure skeptical readers, but they don't have a lot of logic behind them, and I think these decisions are quite broad indeed.
And you use the word theater. So here we are at the end of the term, and you have two very important, very big deal, very long-awaited decisions. So what happens with these guys? Do they say, let's hold off until the very end and drop these out? I mean, do we have a theory here?
It's an old-fashioned way of doing things. There's no schedule. You generally know that the last decisions are going to come down on the last day, but it's a little bit like World Cup soccer with stoppage time. You've got a referee who says, let's give them a couple of extra minutes. Here might have been a couple of extra days, but the hardest cases usually take the longest. That's why the 5-4 decisions come down on the last day.
And that's partly because of the separate opinions. I mean, each of these decisions today involved one very long, careful majority opinion and then separate decisions as well. And those take a while to work through. And in some cases, the justices are hoping that they will persuade each other to switch position. And that kind of back and forth can continue right up until the last day.
And what's the